back out at the farm. Project 17, phase 3, and really exciting day for me because we are getting ready to plant 7 acres of warm season grasses in almost the very last segment of this project. It's one of the big integral parts of this thing that's going to make it really special. And what I'm doing out here today is planting a combination of big blue stem, Indian grass, and switchgrass. And I've chosen those 3 species because they are what I call the big 3 in the native warm season grasses here in the Midwest. They will get tall, 6 to 7 to 8 feet tall to the top of the seed heads, and create a absolute huge buffer of bedding and security cover and visual screening and windbreak and everything that will complement the tree planting that we did in the center. And this project is set up to be layers with tons of edge and lots of diversity, and that's what we're doing today, is adding this final piece of the diversity puzzle. So when planting warm season grasses, it's not nearly as easy as just throwing seed in a seed hopper and going to town, because of the nature and the design of the seed. When I say design, the way God designed it was that it was supposed to float off the grass and land on the surface of the field and reseed itself that way. And when I say float, these seeds typically, this is the Indian grass and the big blue stem, and there are many others that have what we call hairs or beards on them. It's if you can imagine a dandelion-like seed that has a lot of fluff to it. At the end of the dandelion fluff, there's a small seed, but it has that carrier on it that helps it float through the wind. It's very similar seed design on these natives. But these particular seeds from this company have undergone a process called debearding, where they mechanically tumble them and vacuum and get a lot of the hairs and beards off the seed. And the intention of that is to help that seed flow through a conventional seeding system much better than what it would if it were still in its natural fluffy state. So the reason I'm showing you 2 of the 3 is because switchgrass, on the other hand, if you can imagine a sesame seed on your hamburger bun, you know, one of those real tiny little round hard seeds, that's what switchgrass seed looks like. So it has a different quality altogether. And the design is in this application is that you can run the switchgrass seed through more of a conventional planter like you would a small clover seed, because it has uniformity to it. These irregular, fluffy, lighter seeds need to be ran through a specialty planter many times, and that's what we've done here today. We've rented the county native warm season grass drill. This is probably the only time you'll ever see me using anything but a ferminator. And I could use the ferminator today for this with a little bit of additional setup, but my objective is to not disturb the soil in this field any more than I have to. This drill will allow me to cut tiny slits, drop the seed in a very shallow seed bed, and close it shut. And the reason for not wanting to disturb the soil is anytime you disturb the soil, you initiate more seeds to germinate of competitive weeds and grasses. We have cleaned this field up with glyphosate and panoramic, and it has a residual pre-emergent quality that will help suppress weeds and grasses from competing with these grasses. So the less disturbance I can do to this soil, the less we have to fight those competitive species going forward. Again, that's the only time in a situation where I would pick the drill over my beloved ferminator, because of the lack of soil disturbance that this will do today. And you'll see what we're talking about as we go forward here. When you think about a drill, a lot of times you think about seed that's being planted deep in the ground. But with these warm season grass drills, the concept is for the culture wheel in the front to bust open the crust, but then you have, we'll call it the gauge wheel, that has a shoulder on it that only allows it to put a seed slot in the ground about that deep, where it presses the seed, and then the closing wheel behind it presses it shut. So the way nature designed these warm season grass seeds is to be surface planted. So we've got to be real careful about getting them too deep in the ground. And the ideal situation here is that that seed is being placed in this opened furrow, or this little trough here, where where the crust of the soil was broken loose, but the seed is really just placed right here on the surface and pressed into that prepared seed bed, if you will. So 7 acres of warm season grasses in the ground. Last pass right here, finishing up. I just wanted to get out and look and make sure. We've been checking it periodically throughout the day to make sure the seed rate was right and it was going down like we expected and planned, and it couldn't have went any more perfect. And I thank the good Lord for letting me get this done today before this rain and the sky opened up again. And this is really exciting too. You look over here, just right next to me, these clover and winter wheat fire breaks roads that we planted 2 weeks ago are coming in absolutely wonderfully. Look at this, exactly what we wanted. We got the winter wheat cover crop and these young perennial clovers coming up in the same trench here right with them. And that's just 2 weeks of growth with a perennial clover. And really for this time of year, that's fantastic. I can just imagine here in a few more weeks, these clovers will spread out across this road. That winter wheat will continue to get taller to give them a little bit of shelter and cover. And man, this is going to take shape. We've got some chicory coming up in here as well, alongside with our clovers. And you just know that these are going to continue to fill in these gaps, and we'll have a solid band of clover and chicory all the way around this entire property, this field. And Project 17 is really coming together. This is the cherry on the sundae of the icing on the cake right here. And man, I couldn't be happier. If you've got some vision, you can understand what this is going to look like in time. This Project 17 has a lot of design with intention behind it. I'm standing what I hope to be one of the best hunting setups this farm has ever possibly had or could see in the future. And I'm standing right here in the middle of what will be 6 to 7 foot tall switch Indian and big blue stem. Right here is a 16-foot wide clover trail, a 2-acre soybean field, which will be corn and soybeans on rotation. And we've created this pinch point, if you will. Just beyond that, where that blind is setting, is the edge of the hardwood tree plantings. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 edges coming together right here. The soybean field here is 2 acres. Just around the bend here and over out of sight is going to be a 1/2 acre annual planting that'll be very attractive during hunting season. The setup here is deer coming off the ridges into the soybean field, working their way around this corner, tall grasses on their left, wondering what's over the corner down in the bottom field here, and wanting to be down there as they transition from one food to the other, and bucks cruising to see what does might be down there. And here we are, the Redneck Blind had to be right there. I mean, that's 30 yards from this pinch point. I know it doesn't look like much because the vegetation is just now starting. You can see the clover and winter wheat coming in, and imagine standing right here where I'm at, a 6-foot tall wall of grass with this hourglass shape right here in bow range, and it's just a phenomenal setup. Another thing that's hard to visualize right now, because that blind looks like it's sticking out like a very sore thumb, just behind that is a clover lane, 16 feet wide, tall grasses all the way around it. There will be a sneak trail right down the middle of that clover lane. Just to the other side of it is tall, brushy oaks that are going to be impenetrable as far as visual. So coming down there, I don't know if you can see where that four-wheeler is parked. Access in there, I'll have a cut trail through the tall grasses. Right to the edge of that tree planting is a clover road. I can walk with tall sides on both sides of me all the way around, slip up in there with a little cut trail, sprayed trail through the tall grasses to the ladder, in and out of here. No deer in this field, in this cove, as long as the wind's right and I'm smart the way I hunt this. It's going to be about as covert as an exit and entry plan as you can imagine. My daughters don't know this yet, so this is going to be a big surprise for them. And this is one of those things that, you know, anytime you have something new and exciting, this is going to be a big addition for them. And I'm really looking forward to sitting in this blind with them this fall and watching those bucks walk by here. Man, it's going to be some fun, exciting, cool stuff.